for coming out to the community coffee this morning. What a beautiful facility we are in this morning. Thank you to the Homestead and to Kelly Parker for hosting us. I'm going to put Kelly on the spot now that he's stuck a bite of food in his mouth. Kelly, tell us more about the renovation and all that's going on.
Well, thank you. I'm glad everybody's here this morning. I always appreciate the Chamber putting on these community coffees and having everybody come out. But Homestead was originally started as a plan between, I guess, a few concerned citizens that turned into action by the City Council, and they built the Homestead to hopefully keep people in Alva as they became senior citizens, and maybe have some senior citizens move to our community for their retirement days. It was funded through the general fund of the city, and it has, it opened on August 1st, 1998. They took their first resident in then. Coincidentally, that was the day I got married, so my life changed in more ways than I knew that day. The Homestead right now is operated as an independent living facility. We're not a licensed healthcare provider. We don't have assisted living services or nursing home services available. We do permit our residents to contract with private caregivers or home health companies and provide those services in the Homestead. The arrangement right now is that the Homestead and Share Medical Center are working together, or the City of Alva and Share Medical Center are working together to manage the property and the operation. So a lot of what you're going to see outside of the apartments in here, if you so like, I invite you to go ahead and tour the building, and I'd be happy to show people through the building as well after we finish. But what you'll see in the public spaces is going to be what the City of Alva has been responsible for, the updates that you can see as you walk through the building. And then Share Medical Center takes care of pretty much everything inside the resident apartments, as well as providing the services to the residents. So it's been a good working relationship for the last 6 years. The agreement between the city and Share was renewed again last year for 5 years, and so we anticipate that that's going to continue in place. Had a great crowd last night, and those of you that were here last night, I appreciate you coming out for our 20th anniversary celebration. We are very proud of what we've been able to do the last few months to bring this facility back up to closer to a new condition, in some ways better than new condition. So appreciate all the community support that we've had over the years. We have a few rooms left if anybody out here is looking, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, or after this is over, I'd be happy to show folks around.
Thank you, and I've seen your Facebook posts and all the volunteers that have helped out, and we thank them. So also a big congratulations this morning to Miss Liberty Bird, our new Miss Alva. That competition was last night as well. Lots going on as we continue into August and September. Tonight is also Lights Over Alva, a new event that the Chamber and the college have put together. A welcome back event for our Rangers to understand and see what retail, food, and activities that Alva has to offer. So we're hoping for a big event tonight. Northwestern's own Lane Haas is performing on the stage, and we hope to see everybody out. Also tonight is Freedom Rodeo. Again, volunteers. I've heard of a lot of people volunteering for that event. These events would not happen without our community support. We end out the month on the 25th with the Southwest Country Fest at the Woods County Fairgrounds. And then September, we have an event every weekend as well, Woods County Fair. The Big Cruise and Car Show, we had a meeting last night for that event. The biggest turnout I think I've ever seen in all my years of being here. So we look forward to that. And then we end out with the amazing obstacle course race, and then Northwestern Homecoming. So every weekend, something to do in Alva. So at this time, does anybody have any community events to share? Graceful Arts Center is now enrolling their arts classes for fall. If you haven't seen that, check that out on the Alva Chamber Facebook page, and also Northwest Family Services is going to have a poker run in conjunction with the car show as a benefit. So check that out on our page as well.
My name is Fred Durrell, and I wanted to come by and introduce myself, tell you a little bit about myself. I'm running for Labor Commissioner. My background is I retired from the Tulsa Glass Plant after 34 years. Stayed on for another 4 years. Yes, I was a union member. I was president chairman of my local at the time. Currently, I work for Spirit Aero Systems in the Labor Relations Department. So I'm on the other side of the fence, if you will. So I've got a background on both. I serve on the Broken Arrow Planning Commission, teach Tulsa Community College, which I have for the last 21, 23 years. You lose track sometimes. So I've taught small business management. I'm here because I want to get my name out. You hear a whole lot of things about a whole lot of issues from people. I'm running because I know what the job is and I know how to do the job. It's not, you know, we talk about Republican, Democrat, liberal, moderate, and I'm a Democrat. People will say, oh, you're liberal. It's not about liberal, it's not about Democrat, it's about the people. It's about the business, it's about the wage earner. The primary function and focus of the Labor Commissioner, and it's the only job in the Constitution, in Oklahoma's Constitution, that strictly focuses on the wage earner. Now, there has to be a balance. You have to have a win-win, right? You can't have business without workers. You can't have workers without business. So that's what I believe in. I'm running for the people. I'm not going to run against someone, but I've been in this long enough life that I've learned a lot of things that I want to get back. I want to help. Some will say because of my union background that I'm trying to unionize the state. That's the biggest bunch of hogwash I've ever seen. Unions are 5% of Oklahoma, of the workforce. So, you know, I'm for business, I'm for the wage earner, but there has to be a balance. You always hear about business, and that's great, but you don't hear about the wage earner. And all of us in here, you know, I support millionaires, I support corporate entities. They have wage earners, and that's key. So with that, thank you for your time. So let me say a few words. We're on our way to Western Oklahoma, and so we saw this opportunity and wanted to come back because we're not just talking to Republicans, we're talking to everybody because everybody votes. I mean, to Democrats, we're talking Democrats, Republicans, that's what this is all about. And we got to get focused again in this country. We get so hung up on labels. I refuse, yes, I'm a registered Democrat, but I refuse to get hung up on what it is. Do the research. I pass on my card. Get on my webpage. You have any comments, questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Also with us this morning is Senator Casey Murdoch. Thanks for coming out this morning. Would you like to share with us some things?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for coming, and I just want to give you kind of an update where we're at in the state. Kind of things are looking good. I don't want to say we're out of the woods, but we can see the light. The numbers I've been hearing, we're going to be close to $1 billion over what we need, and that has to do with the little things we've been doing the last 3 years. Last year during special session, as you know, it got very, very tense, and I was in a caucus meeting on the House side. This was before I moved over to the Senate, and after a year long of session and special session, you can imagine that the nerves were shot, and I hate to admit this, but there was a lot of arguing and backbiting and blaming and pointing fingers in this caucus meeting. And I got up and I said, look guys, and down there I kind of refer to back home being on the ranch. I said it's kind of like when you're building fence and you've got your head down and you're pounding posts, you're tying wire, but every once in a while you got to look behind you and see what you've got accomplished, or you'll get burned out, you'll get frustrated. And I said, look what we've done the last 3 years. We didn't make any major movements forward, but just little things. And that year we had a flat budget. But my first year that I got elected, we were $611 million hole in the budget. And then we were $1.3 billion hole in the budget. And then $868 million hole in the budget. I told somebody if I want to deal with that kind of red ink, I'd stay home and ran cows. But we slowly are getting out of this hole. And I feel optimistic about this year coming up with $1 billion extra. You know, over the last 3 years, we've taken $230 million out of the county road and bridge fund. That's important to me because that's what we drive on out here is county roads. And we just kept reaching in there and grabbing money out of it. We cut higher ed to the bone. And this year, with a little extra money, we're going to be able to start rebuilding and fixing things we have been gray taping and baling wire together. DOC needs, well, this past year they came and asked for $1 billion. Their infrastructure is literally falling down. I think that the prison in McAllister was built about the same time our Capitol was. And we had to do something with the Capitol. We're down there doing renovations right now, major renovations, because it was just outdated and falling down. And you guys are well aware, in your home, if you just kind of patch and you don't do major repairs, things start falling apart. And that's where we're at with our prison system. And if we don't take care of it ourselves, the feds are going to come in here and force us to. And that is one thing we do not want, is the feds to come in here and force us to do something. So, you know, I think this next year looks good. One of the very first things I'm going to do is try to get some of that $230 million back that we had taken out of county roads and bridges. I think one easy fix, or one easy deal, is the $30 million that we had taken from county roads and bridges and gave to the healthcare department. As you know, they said they were short $30 million, and they found it, and so we gave them 30 and they found it, and we're going to try to get that back into county roads and bridges. But, you know, when I first campaigned, I said this job's, it's a horse trade. And you're just trading horses. So when I go down and say that we need to replenish the county roads and bridges, I'm going to ask for the 230 back. I don't think I get 230 back in the county roads and bridges, but that's where I'm going to start on my ask. If I get half, that's going to be great. The other thing, I'm running some interim studies this year. I've got 3 of them. I'm going to talk about 2 of them. I'm doing an interim study on how energy is taxed in this state. That's oil and gas, that's wind, that's solar, that's coal, hydro. We've got to be competitive. I mean, we don't live in a bubble in Oklahoma, and we've got to be competitive. And I want to make sure that we are being fair to the companies out there, but I also want to make sure that we are being fair to the state. At the end of the day, the state has an obligation. That me as a legislator, we have an obligation to fund the core functions of government. And to me, the core function of government is education, transportation, public safety, and health. And I know that for my first 3 years that I was there, we were struggling just to do that. And so I want to make sure we're doing that. The other interim study I'm doing is on red cedars. And I was visiting with, I don't know how many of y'all know Jimmy Emmons down in Dewey County, and I was visiting with him about this. And I guess in the fire down there, he said that they lost about half of the red cedars in Dewey County through that fire that had killed the red cedars. They have streams that started to run again that hadn't ran in years because the red cedars drawing that water out of the ground. Well, where I want to go with this interim study is I want to get matching money from the Conservation District and Oklahoma City to deal with our red cedar problem. Why do I want Oklahoma City to contribute a little bit? I don't know if you all are aware, but Oklahoma City owns all the surface water clear to Felt, Oklahoma. That Beaver River in Felt, Oklahoma, they own the surface water. They don't own much out there, but they own the surface water. Anything runs down that river. Well, I think it would behoove them to contribute a little bit to get rid of these red cedars, because I think they will benefit, because all that water runs downhill, runs to Oklahoma City. So I think that would behoove them to contribute a little bit to that. That's, I'm going to kind of keep it short. One other thing I want to bring up. Wind catcher, was a godsend to the western counties. It was going to save Key schools. I heard last week Key School had a vote. They're going to try to stay open one more year and kind of see where these windmills have settled out and whether they're going to come in or not. But as avid a supporter as I am of wind, one thing that irritated me to death on this wind catcher project is a transmission line. I had called PSO when they first started, and I said, when you go out there, don't go out there and bull your way across western Oklahoma with your transmission line. Go out there and treat those people fairly, treat them with respect. And the phone calls I was getting, they were not doing that. And I was on the phone with PSO a lot, telling them that they need to treat these people with respect. They finally sent out a letter of code of conduct on how to treat landowners. Well, that really made me mad. I'm glad they did that, but why do you have to make a code of conduct on how you treat somebody, especially a landowner that you're trying to do business with? And I guess the straw that broke the camel's back for me, I did a town hall in Winoka earlier this week, and there was a farmer that they threatened in Winoka. They said, you need to sign this contract, or we are sure we can find a beetle or a bug out there on your farm that's in danger. Now that made me mad. You don't threaten my people out here, and that's what they did. So one of the legislations I'm going to run this year is on eminent domain, because I feel they were sitting there with the power of eminent domain, and they were walking in here lowballing our landowners. They were offering $900. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when Clean Line came through, they were offering $2,800. I think they take advantage of that eminent domain too often, and I'm going to look at our eminent domain laws and try to protect our landowners from being lowballed by people coming in here eminent domaining their land. The other thing, I've talked with staff yesterday in the Senate. Everybody wants a wind turbine on their piece of property because they get the royalties every year. I mean, that's like having an oil well on your property. But nobody wants a transmission line. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, I'm getting phone calls. Well, we don't want these transmission lines. But everybody's happy to get a wind turbine. Well, what if that landowner received a royalty off the transmission line on the amount of electricity that's pushed down that line? So I'm going to look into landowners receiving a royalty for having a transmission line on their property and being paid for the amount of electricity that's pushed across their property. So that's one of the things I'm going to look at. I know everybody's busy. I'm going to keep it short. If you talk to Carl Newton very much, he can tell you I'll set up there and talk to Newton. So I'll cut it off there. If you have any questions, call me, email me. If you do email me, put your phone number in the email and I will call you back and visit with you. That's one good thing about living in Felt is when I leave the Capitol, I have my list of people I need to call back, and I've got 6 hours to call people back. But it's good seeing you, and thank you all again.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out this morning.
We have a lady that's running. May I have an
Yeah,
opportunity?
sure.
Good morning, everyone. Excuse me. My name is Kimberly Fogg, and I truly will be brief. First of all, I thank you for allowing us to be here in Alva. We're in someone's home, and I just want to be a gracious guest and say thank you for all that you do, because everyone here has an investment in the community. I am running for insurance commissioner, and I believe it's important that we get out and earn everyone's respect and their vote and to understand what's at stake. Insurance commissioner should not be a political job. It is about protecting every citizen and every Oklahoman. The Department of Insurance covers so many things that affect people's lives. Not only does it regulate insurance, dental, health care, auto and home, all of the types of benefits that people need when something bad has happened. It also is responsible for the real estate appraiser agency, bondsmen. It collects premium taxes and fees, and it actually brings in money that it turns around and gives back to the general revenue fund to fund core services and also to fund part of the firefighters' pension and retirement system. And whether we're business owners or consumers, it has an impact on every life, and it has the ability, when regulated fairly, to make sure that we bring more competition back into our state. Over the last 8 years, no matter where we've gone across the state, people all, both personally and business-wise, experience that our rates have gone down, our coverages, or excuse me, our rates have gone up, our coverages have gone down. Policies have become so complicated that for most people, they have to struggle to make a decision between health care and groceries, or why they have a high deductible and a higher premium even when they haven't had claims losses. And so we need to restore regulatory balance. We need to bring more competition back into our state. I served for almost 20 years in management with MetLife. I have a history in the insurance business. I also had the honor to serve our state under both Governor Fallon and Governor Henry on the Judicial Nominating Commission, which helped pick fair and impartial judges across our court system. And I served as a small business owner and chairwoman in Tulsa County. And so what I want to bring to this office is the integrity to do the job for all people in Oklahoma. We have the opportunity, because we need to bring in more competition. We need to make sure our seniors, women, we have certain pockets in our state where we pay some of the highest premiums in the nation. I was just visiting with this young lady here about the fires and the impact in western Oklahoma. These are real issues that affect people, they affect businesses and our livelihoods, and we have to come to the table as leaders and have the integrity to work together for the best solutions of Oklahoma. That's my commitment to you and to everyone here, that we have an obligation to make our state better, and that I'm committed to doing so. My name is Kimberly Fobbs, and my website is kimberlyfobbs.com. My information I've passed out, I will talk to anyone, I will go anywhere, because we have to pass on something better for our kids and the next generation, and that's why I'm here. So thank you again.